All right, so you're thinking of bringing a new product to market.
Hmm.
You need it to be top quality. You need it to be made affordably, and you need it fast.
Yeah.
Where do you even start to look?
Well, Vietnam is quickly becoming like the place to go for sourcing, and it makes sense.
Okay.
It's not just lower cost. We're talking about a skilled workforce manufacturers who really know their stuff and a location that's just perfect for global trade.
So, I mean, sourcing overseas can be a little intimidating, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you're navigating a whole new world. It's a whole different ball game.
Right.
That's why we're here today, to break down those steps to successful sourcing from Vietnam. And we've got some great articles and expert advice to guide us.
Yeah, think of this as your crash course to equip you with the know-how to source smarter, not harder.
I, I like it. So first things first, let's define what product sourcing actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, it might seem pretty simple, but there's more to it than meets the eye, right?
Yeah, you got it in a nutshell. Product sourcing is all about finding and getting those products you need from the right suppliers. You're kind of like a detective on a mission to find the absolute best place to have your product made.
Okay.
And in today's market, doing your sourcing right can really be the difference between success and struggling to keep up.
Yeah, it's not just about finding the cheapest deal. It's about finding the right partner, someone who meets your standards for quality and aligns with your business goals.
Exactly. And this is where understanding that whole sourcing journey becomes really important.
Okay.
It's a process with multiple stages, each one building on the next.
Right. So walk us through it. What are those key stages we need to be aware of?
So step one, the most important step is market research. Before you even think about factories or suppliers, you need to understand what your customers actually want. What are people buying? What are the price points that work? What are the trends?
Makes sense. You don't want to end up with a warehouse full of, useless stuff that no one wants to buy.
Yeah, exactly. So once you have a good idea of your target market and the product, the next stage is supplier identification and evaluation.
And I'm guessing this is where things get interesting, maybe even a little tricky.
Yeah, it can be. You really need to do your homework on these suppliers. We're
Mhm.
talking going beyond just price checking their track record, their production capabilities, their everything.
So what are some red flags, things you'd be cautious about when looking at a supplier?
Great question. One big thing is their ethical practices. Are they treating their workers fairly? Are they minimizing their environmental impact? Consumers these days really care about these things.
Yeah, it's not just about feeling good. It's about doing good business, too.
Exactly. So you want to look for certifications, sustainability initiatives, proof that they're serious about doing things the right way.
Okay, so let's say we've done our research,
Mhm.
found some good suppliers. What happens next?
Now it's time for negotiation and agreements. This is where you sit down with your supplier and hash out all the details, price minimum orders, delivery schedules, payments, everything.
And this is where a lot of people probably get nervous. Any tips for good negotiation, especially with international partners?
Definitely don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. Be assertive and clear about what you expect and put everything in writing with legally sound contracts.
Okay, contracts are signed. Can we kick back and wait for the products to arrive?
Not quite. The next stage is quality assurance and factory visits.
So we actually get to see the operation in action.
This is where you see it with your own eyes. On-site visits allow you to see the working conditions, meet the people making your products, and observe the quality control processes.
Seeing is believing, right? You get to build trust in the whole process.
Absolutely. And speaking of keeping things running smoothly, let's talk logistics and shipping. This is where things can get a little hairy.
Yeah, it's a massive journey, getting that product from the factory all the way to your customers.
You've got warehousing, transportation, customs, a whole chain of events. Any hiccups along the way can cause delays and disruptions.
So that rock-solid logistics plan and good shipping partners are super important.
Yes.
But this whole process, this whole thing can feel pretty overwhelming, right?
It can be, especially if you're new to international sourcing.
So what's the secret? How can businesses navigate this whole thing successfully?
This is where finding a sourcing partner comes in.
So like a sourcing guru to guide us through it all.
Precisely. There are expert sourcing services like Vietnam Direct Sourcing. They basically become an extension of your team. They have the local knowledge, the established network, and the processes in place to streamline the whole journey.
Okay, so instead of trying to figure it out ourselves, we can tap into the expertise of someone who's already been there, done that.
Exactly. They can help with finding suppliers, negotiating terms, keeping an eye on quality, and handling all those logistics. It's like having a trusted advisor by your side every step of the way.
That takes a lot of pressure off.
It really does. So let's shift gears a little. We've talked about the how of sourcing, but what about the Why does ethical sourcing matter? What kind of impact does it have on businesses?
Yeah, is it just a trendy buzzword or is it something more?
It's way more than a trend. It's a fundamental change in what customers expect, people care about, where their products come from, and the impact those products have on the world. They want transparency, they demand responsibility, and they're voting with their wallets.
So doing the right thing is actually good business.
Exactly. One of our sources talks about a U.S. retailer who partnered with a Vietnamese supplier to make eco-friendly products. It lined up with their brand values, and it saved them money and gave them a reliable supply of great products.
So ethical choices can be good for business and good for the world.
Exactly. And it goes back to that partnership idea. When you're working with ethical suppliers, it's not just a transaction, it's a relationship built on shared values, doing things the right way.
That makes all the difference, right? I mean, consumers are savvy. They do their research. They want to support companies that are trying to do good in the world.
Absolutely. So let's dig deeper into that ethical side of sourcing and figure out how to find the right partners who share those values.
Sounds good to me. Let's dive in.
When we're talking about ethical sourcing, it's not just those big things like are workers being treated fairly. It's about everything.
Right.
It's about sustainability, how waste is managed using environmentally friendly materials. It's the whole picture.
It's about really considering every decision you make across your supply chain.
Exactly. And that's another reason why having a sourcing expert on your side can be so valuable. They get those details. They can hook you up with suppliers who have the same values as you and make sure your sourcing practices line up with your overall business ethics.
Like a compass always pointing you towards the right choices.
Yeah, I like that. And it's only becoming more and more important as consumers want to know more about the companies they're buying from. They want to see that transparency and accountability.
And speaking of transparency, our source material really highlights factory visits.
Yeah.
And a vital part of this whole process, what makes them so crucial.
Well, you know what they say, seeing is believing. A factory visit lets you move beyond just reading reports. You actually get to see the production process firsthand, see those working conditions, the overall environment, and how things actually operate. It's a chance to meet the people making your product, ask questions, and make sure that supplier is walking the walk.
It's like a behind-the-scenes look at how everything works in reality.
Exactly. And it's a great way to build trust and really solidify your relationship with your supplier.
It's not just about inspecting the goods, it's about forming a real partnership.
Precisely. And that kind of strong relationship can make a huge difference down the line because you'll have a deeper understanding of each other's needs and expectations. And that brings us back to logistics, often the most intimidating part of international sourcing. So many moving parts, so many chances for things to go wrong.
And logistics can be a real headache.
It can be complicated, but it doesn't have to be. The key is having a solid plan from warehousing and transportation all the way to customs clearance. And guess what? This is another area where a sourcing expert can really make a difference.
So they can help us navigate all of that, make sure our products get where they need to be on time and in one piece.
Exactly. They have the experience, the connections, the know-how to streamline that whole process, minimizing risks and making things as efficient as possible.
Like a conductor leading the logistics orchestra to create a smooth symphony.
I like that it really emphasizes how important clear communication and coordination are across that entire supply chain, because sourcing isn't just about finding suppliers and haggling over prices. It's about building a network of people you trust, working together to bring your vision to life.
It's like assembling your sourcing dream team.
Exactly. That kind of teamwork is what it takes to succeed in today's global market. So we've talked about a lot, from the basics of product sourcing to ethical considerations and the power of partnerships.
We've really seen how Vietnam is becoming a major player for businesses who want quality affordability and that strategic edge in global trade. But it's not just about the destination. It's about the journey and having the right map and guide to get there.
You got it with the right knowledge, the right partners, and a commitment to doing things ethically. Sourcing from Vietnam can open up so many opportunities for growth and success. So if you're feeling inspired to explore Vietnam sourcing, what's the best way to get started?
Well, I definitely recommend checking out those resources we've mentioned throughout this deep dive.
Absolutely. There's a ton of great information out there, including their podcast and a supplier request for information form where you can tell them exactly what you're looking for.
And if you want more personalized help, you can even book a free consultation to talk about your sourcing goals and how Vietnam direct sourcing can help you achieve them. It's like having a direct line to the experts.
Exactly. So don't hesitate to reach out and tap into their expertise with the right knowledge and the right people by your side. Sourcing from Vietnam can be a smooth and rewarding experience, opening up a whole world of possibilities for your business. But before we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay, I like this. Lay it on us.
Now that you have a better understanding of the sourcing process, the potential it has, and the importance of ethics, what product or idea are you inspired to bring to life through smart sourcing? What's that thing you've always dreamed of creating but maybe felt a little overwhelmed by the process?
It's a great question. And I want to add, don't let that feeling hold you back.
Right?
With the right knowledge and partners, anything is possible.
Absolutely. Remember, sourcing isn't just about finding products, it's about finding solutions. It's about turning your vision into something real and making a positive impact while you're doing it.
So take that leap of faith. Explore those possibilities and see what happens when you tap into the power of Vietnam sourcing. We hope this deep dive is giving you the insights and inspiration to start your own sourcing journey. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. There are experts out there ready to help every step of the way.
So, what are you waiting for? Start exploring, start connecting, and start creating. Who knows, maybe your product will be the next big thing.
It's like going on a treasure hunt. But instead of digging for gold, we're uncovering those hidden gems in the world of sourcing.
And you never know, that next great product idea could be right around the corner, just waiting to be brought to life through smart and ethical sourcing from Vietnam.
Yeah, and you never know that that next great product idea could be right there just waiting to be discovered.
Right.
Just waiting to be, made real through smart sourcing from Vietnam.
Exactly. And I think it's important to remember, sourcing smarter, it's not just about, the cheapest option. It's about finding what works best for you and your company and your values.
Yeah, finding those partners who share your commitment to quality and ethical practices and long-term sustainability.
You got it. And that's why, we always say do your research, look into those resources we've talked about, and don't be afraid to reach out to those experts. They can really help you navigate sourcing from Vietnam and find the right suppliers for your specific needs.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Vietnam sourcing, what's the one thing you want listeners to take away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that sourcing from Vietnam, it can really change your business. It's a chance to tap into a skilled workforce, get access to high quality materials, and position yourself for growth in that global marketplace. But you have to do it strategically with a focus on ethical practices and building those sustainable partnerships.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So to everyone listening out there, go explore those possibilities, embrace the adventure, and unlock the potential of sourcing from Vietnam. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, happy sourcing.